I almost lost $5,000 on my first sales call, and it changed the way I sell forever. The very first time I got into a sales call, I was heavily manipulated by a spiritual business coach, and it taught me more about feminine sales than any training I ever paid for. Make sure you stay until the end because I'm going to share with you a very unique and exclusive invitation for those of you that really wants to master the art of sales, but so many other things. I'm not saying more. I'm going to share with you at the end of this podcast. When I almost spent $5,000 that I didn't have and still ended up $100 later because the woman on the phone knew exactly how to use emotional sales tactics, I promised myself that I will never make a woman feel like that just to make a sale. Today we're talking about sales psychology and feminine sales so we can sign our dream pépite client in an effortless, authentic way and make shitloads of money doing something we love with people that are so happy to pay us that they sometimes even offer to pay us more, or they say things like this should cost double than what the current price is. Welcome back to an episode of Full Circle. Happy Friday, how are you, my queens? This week I almost accidentally sold all of my spots for the new round and the new era of Business Activator before I even launched it, just from genuine conversations. That's what inspired this podcast today. Can you imagine being booked before you even launched officially your offer? Can you imagine having people in your DMs saying like, this should cost a lot more than what it is, and having that as a feedback from your clients, as well as epic testimonials and people really being obsessed with your work and feeling so comfortable in your presence because the way you do sales is so authentic and genuine. This is what I want always, and I don't want to settle for anything less than that. And this is the topic of today. Like, for real though, like I've been just having conversation and almost accidentally sold all of my spots just from talking to people about how I can genuinely help them when I see that my work is needed, when I see that they're struggling with the things that I help my clients with, when I see that what they desire is exactly what I'm selling. But I really wanted to mention it in the podcast today because I'm officially back to full-time work. So I have more spots available, more time to work. I'm not working just during nap times and late at night until 2 fucking a.m. I am just back to business, and that feels so fulfilling for my freaking soul. You have no idea how excited I am and how grateful I am for those conversations I just had. So yes, it's a little bit of me bragging of like, oh my God, I'm just back to work and the universe is smiling at me and I'm manifesting and attracting my literal dream pépite clients because I'm just being myself and I know the value of my work and I know the transformation that my girls are going through in my work, and I know how to talk to my people. But I wanted to take a moment of gratitude because I really feel so honored and so grateful that my girls are trusting me with that aspect of their lives when it comes to personal development and building a business, being an entrepreneur. This is such a vulnerable journey. This is something we're going to explore in today's episode as well, is that vulnerable side of entrepreneurship, of being sold to or selling to people. This is very vulnerable. I just wanted to take a moment to honor every single one of you for trusting me. It means a lot more than you think. All right, let's jump in. In today's episode, we're going to cover 6 important lessons when it comes to making money online and sales. Did I just scare you just by saying that? Did I just trigger your system? Because that's what I used to feel when we were talking about sales. I was like freezing out. And you will understand why in a minute, because I'm going to share with you in this episode today the 5K call that woke me up, that woke me the fuck up when it comes to sales. I will also share the feminine psychology of trust so we know exactly how to sell to our dream pépite client in an effortless way. Never feeling salesy ever again. How to stop chasing conversion and start leading conversations that truly activates your client instead of manipulating them. We'll also see why handling objections is outdated as fuck and what to do instead, as well as some practical tips and tools for how you can run your sales calls and make sure it's a success. So if you want to sign your pépite gem dream client, so pépite in French means like this rare gold gem. It's this like super precious, so different, like a little pearl in a shell. But it's just pépite, just like out of this world. It's rare. It's something like a little treasure. So I guess the closest translation to that in English would be gem client, like it's such a gem. And so in order to sign your gem pépite dream client, we need to do it right. Not like that girl I had on the phone when it was my first time jumping on a call. This is why I wanted us today to talk about how, especially the spiritual manipulation, presses so hard on our vulnerabilities and insecurities. It's really important to talk about how manipulation, and especially spiritual manipulation, really uses our insecurities in a moment where we are the most vulnerable. So let me tell you my story. I was broke, super freaking broke. Broke as a joke. Broke as a yoga teacher in Bali, but not able to afford coconut water kind of broke. Somehow, I still almost dropped $5,000 on a sales call. After getting my yoga teacher training, I moved to Netherlands for love and ended up in a factory assembling sandwiches as a line production worker, teaching yoga on the side. One of the hardest time of my career, I would say. But you know what? I'm really proud of myself for doing that. Like now, realizing how life has changed. But at that time, I was so done, feeling like I was the struggling yoga teacher, the broke yoga teacher. I really wanted help to build the spiritual business that I was wanting to have. I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew that I had this like different fire inside of me. And so I wanted to teach yoga, but I also wanted more than that. I wanted to do women's circles, and I wanted to do so many other things, and I wanted to have this lucrative business so that I could travel the world and have that location freedom and be the bougie bitch that I am. Like, I love very fancy, expensive stuff. I love beautiful, luxurious places. Your girl loves to go to the sauna. I needed like the finances to back that lifestyle that I wanted, and I wanted to do it in a way that felt super good, super authentic, loving my clients, making money in a way that felt good. Basically, it's all of the feminine leadership that I talk about those days, but I didn't really had a language for this at the time. This is just what I wanted. And I've done a business school, right? But I felt like all of what I've learned in business school wasn't applicable to this business because now I was in the spiritual wellness business and I thought that I had to learn new skills. I just didn't want to be that struggling yoga teacher anymore. And I wanted to build a really powerful brand online. So I found this girl. She's a spiritual business coach, especially for yoga teacher. And I'm like, yay, you're gonna help me. And I'm the most vulnerable ever because I feel like I know nothing about business, about building an empire online. I'm still having this background of being the little French girl from the little town, the little countryside. Here I am comparing myself to people in the US, and from my perspective, those girls are so successful, and in the US you can talk about money freely and you can be an entrepreneur freely. That is not the culture in which I grew up with. So even though I left for business school and I really tapped into that fire and I read the Steve Jobs book, I just knew I wanted this life, but I still felt like, whoa, I need someone to teach me. And when you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing, I don't know anything, and I'm just in pain because I'm not making any money, you know, like in the day-to-day life, it was a real fucking suffering. I was living with my ex at the time. We rented a small room in Netherlands. I didn't even have a bathroom in this house. We had just a door with a shower. And the reason why I remember that so vividly, it's also because that was my only 5 minutes of warmth. Like me who loves the turquoise water of the tropics. I'm such a tropical plant and I love the heat, humidity, like hot, warm, like saunas, I'm telling you, my car in summer, I step into my car and I sit in my sit. Everyone is like, oh my God, open the window, we're suffocating. And I'm here just like cooking. I'm just good. This is how much I love the warmth. This is very much part of my identity. For real. And so here I am in Netherlands. It's freaking cold. I'm working in the sandwich factory, right? As a production line worker, I'm cold all day because we work with food. So it has to be cold in the factory. And then I'm teaching yoga on the side and it's not paying the bills. So I'm living in this shitty house. I'm really grateful for this time of my life. I don't want to sound like I'm just like shit talking this version of me, because this version of me built the version that I am today. And by contrast, I know exactly what I want in my life and what I've been through, and it's part of my story and I really honor it. But at the same time, it really freaking sucked. I remember my ex and we had no fun because we had no money. So we were just saving money. We were spending the least amount possible on groceries, buying the cheapest things always. There were not a lot of like pleasures that we allowed ourselves. We were living with roommates in a house of a Dutch guy who was renting 3 rooms in this house. It was always cold. The window barely closed, so there were always the cold coming in. It was not all bad, but it was hard. And I didn't want this life anymore. I didn't want to feel that broke. I didn't want to feel like a failure. Like I chose this life, having a master's degree in my pocket, leaving for love in another country where I don't speak the language, becoming a yoga teacher, working in a factory with a fucking degree in my pocket. Everyone back home thought I was insane, which probably I am. All of this context to give you the level of vulnerability in which I'm stepping into that sales call. So I found this woman, I think it was on Facebook at the time. I jumped on a call with her. During the call, she asked me the usual questions that you would use in a very tactical sales call. But she really digged into like extracting out of me all of my vulnerabilities. I cried on the freaking call. She was like, how does it impact your life? And if it stays the same, how would your life look like? How is it impacting your people, your friends, your family? And you had to think about all of that on the spot, being led by someone. So someone is just like pouring all of those informations out of you. And I remember just feeling so vulnerable and like, oh my God, realizing like, yes, I need to do something about it. It's a really good tactic, because I don't want to stay in my pain. So they used every single pain point that I had, pressed so hard on them, made me feel so bad, just so bad. And they were, at the end of the call, they were like, so now you get to sign up. If you don't want this pain, you get to sign up. And I was like, well, I have to think about it. It's a large amount of money. I mean, it was $5,000. I was also saying things like, oh, I need to talk to my partner about it. Like the usual objections that then you're trained of handling. And everything felt like manipulation. So I felt also a little bit hyped up in the call, right? Like, yes, you're going to get it. You're going to get those results. Like what is your goal? And no one really explained to me that my goals were not even really realistic for me at the time. And I'm the first one with the delulu culture. Like, yes, we have to be delulu. Being delusional is amazing for manifestation, but we also have to hold polarity. We have to hold duality in this life. So yes, be delusional in what you're aiming at, but you're probably not going to turn from broke yoga teacher to a fucking billionaire overnight after 3 months of a coaching with a business coach. This is just not really realistic. You can have great results, right? But I remember stating my goals because that's what I've heard and this is the content that I was fed with at the time. And again, I didn't know what I know now. How could I? I didn't know all of those tactics. I didn't know people were trained to handle the calls like that. I was probably a little naive, which is part of my beautiful personality where I always try to see the best intentions in people, but sometimes it's to my detriment. So anyway, I can describe you very vividly the feeling after the call because I was like, I need to really think about it still. And they pressed so hard. They were like, no, if you leave this call without giving us your bank details, you're not going to do it. You're not going to be committed. I don't even remember just the manipulation of it, but they still extracted $100 out of me. I don't know how they did it, but they were like, How much can you put now? I need your bank details now. Like the pressure on the call, the straight up manipulation was wild. And you have to think, I'm going to like a spiritual business coach for yoga teachers. I'm not going to like Kevin trying to be a shark and close some deals, like, which is even more manipulative, right? And I remember vividly being in my garden after that call, going through this whole thing over again, and it really had the same sensation. I know it's going to be super extreme what I'm going to say, but later in my life when I was assaulted, it was the same feeling. It was just like 2% after a sales call and 1,000,000,000% after being abused. But I want to be extreme on purpose. This is a little taste of that abusive thing where you feel like you've been used, where you feel like someone had like sort of a power over you and you were almost like hypnotized, and afterwards you just feel so bad about yourself. You feel like something is off, doesn't feel good. Thanks God I just dropped it there, but they still got $100 out of me. Like, what the fuck? Is it even legal to have those practices nowadays? I don't know. It should be illegal. The level of shame, I can't even describe the level of shame, because you think that you're smart. You think that you're empowered. And suddenly you have something that shows you that someone is able to play with your mind. You're not even mad at the one who perpetrated that kind of abusive behavior on the sales call and emotional manipulation. You're just mad at yourself. And you feel like something is wrong with you, which is even worse. So this whole thing, it took me years to actually digest it and to be able to use it as a strength. But I also promised myself that I would never make another woman feel the way I did. It was an amazing learning experience. It was just really painful going through that, which leads me to understanding feminine psychology of sales, because the tactics that they used were very masculine in essence. In a way, I can understand, and I hope they have evolved their practices since then, really, hopefully, just out of integrity and out of respect for young entrepreneurs that are giving their trust and their vulnerabilities to someone. But how can we blame them? This is how we used to do things in the past. The things we're going to talk about today in this masterclass, in this podcast, in this episode, are not taught. They're not taught in business school. This information is hard to access, and it's becoming more and more and more popular, and I'm here for it because we're changing culture. So let's dive into understanding the feminine psychology of sales. Why do you think we don't like a sales rep? Why do we hang up the phone when we realize it's someone calling us to sell us something and we're just like, no, just hang up? Why do we close the door to the sales rep? Why do we walk through a market and like try to avoid eye contact with the vendors trying to grab our attention to sell us something? Because we do not like to be sold to. Facts. Why? My theory is there are multiple energetic reasons behind it, but I also feel like we live in a culture that profoundly lacks self-trust and boundaries. So we are afraid of being manipulated, because guess what? If back then I had stood in my power, in my knowing, in my integrity, if I didn't give my power away, if I could have voiced even my insecurities, my pain, but still felt like the strong, grounded CEO that I was, I would have acted and felt completely different. I would have stood in my power saying, even voicing like, hey, I'm not liking what's going on. Hell no, you're not going to get $100 on the call. And if I'm telling you that I need to think about it, let me fucking think about it. I'm definitely not giving you my bank details on this freaking call. So my theory is that we don't trust ourselves enough to listen to someone selling something. And another subtle theory that I have is that is connected to our financial responsibility. Because maybe there is a part of us that is thinking, I might get manipulated into buying something and then regret it. Or I might be tempted to buy something and I don't trust myself enough to be good with money. So I'm just going to spend that money. So it's all about self-trust and our boundaries, but also our relationship to money is the subtle undercurrent behind it. But that is definitely a topic for another episode. Now I want to explore with you why and what makes feminine sales different. And it's all based on one attribute. Can you guess what it is? It's trust. Women in feminine energy, she buys from trust, from energy, not from pressure. And this is why people don't buy when they feel chased, when they feel pressured, when they feel like forced. This is a very masculine way of selling. What we actually need to sell in a feminine way, in a way that feels good for us, but also for the client, is to find a way to create instant safety and connection instead of pressure, forcing, and manipulating. By the way, people might not call it manipulation, right? They may call it tactics, taking the lead, or closing a deal, whatever. But you understand that energy. We also have to remember that it's your integrity that is at play. It's your reputation. How do you want people to feel around you? And also when they decide to work with you, how do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel like extorted or super freaking excited to work with you, like they made a gift? You probably know the feeling, right? Where you buy yourself something and it's such a pleasure and you're just so excited to have put that money because that money was so worth it and it brings you so much joy. I guess you want your people to feel like that when they invest in you. And I also guess that you want to feel clean when you make a sale. You don't want to feel like, oh my God, I used my power and I used their insecurities to my advantage because I wanted to make money. Which if you're here, I know you have a big heart and I know you want to make money. And I know it's not even about the money. This is the craziest part, right? I know you would probably still do what you do, even if you were not making any money from it, because you truly, genuinely want to help people. But even in those cases, and it's not to shame or blame or point fingers, but it's just to have that deep clarity and self-honesty. Even sometimes when we want to do something and be of service and really help people, we still have our selfish desires. We want to make money for us. We want the bougie lifestyle for us. It's not just about service and helping and being so genuine. We also have to own that other duality of like, yeah, and I want the money for me. I want to be rich. I want to pass down a legacy to my kids. I want my family to thrive. I want to gift people I love. I want to go get my nails done every week. You probably don't need to do it every week, but you know what I mean. I want to buy myself fancy, beautiful yoga clothes. I want to travel. I want to go see the most beautiful places on this earth because I have this one precious life and I want to savor every minute of it. And when I feel broke as fuck, I don't feel like I'm savoring life because I feel like I cannot do anything and I'm like suffocating and surviving. So this is very selfish and we need to own it. That being said, we need to check in ourselves how far we're willing to go in the name of money. And this whole concept is something that I dive much deeper in my masterclass, Sign Your Dream Pépite Client Effortlessly and with Integrity. You can check the bio for that and get access to the training that will cover both the energetic point of sales, how to attract your dream client, and even a step-by-step manifestation ritual to connect directly with that pépite client. Now, to circle back to what we were saying, I really want to cover the topic of objection and realizing why objections are so outdated and what we can do instead. If the masculine way of doing things is to force, to manipulate, to control, the feminine way of doing things is being an invitation. And so if we're being an invitation, if we're building that trust and that rapport with our clients, and we generally checked our own energy and our own motives, and we're at peace with why we want to make money from it, but also at peace with like, no, I also really want to help that person and I'm not selling fluff. I'm very convinced. I'm very confident in what I offer. I stand by it. I know the results it got to my clients. I know how good it is. I know how it can transform their lives for the better. Then instead of handling objections during a sales call, we do something completely different that actually converts more women into clients than handling objections. You have to think about it. We women are emotionally and relationally so smart. We are so in tune. We're so intelligent when it comes to relationships, to human connection, to energy, to the subtle things. We just feel things. We know things. How do we know that Chad is cheating on his girlfriend and we just have a feeling and we just know it? We know bullshit. We can smell bullshit. We can smell manipulation. We just feel things. There is no way to actually manipulate us. I mean, It is possible, but we always notice. So what's the freaking point? Because then the person is disappointing in you. Like the way I felt after that sales call, horrible. Like, would I want, like, even if I spend the money, I would probably have showed up to the calls. But I also remember I showed up to like a group call that they had. And even a girl that already signed for one of the offer was sold on the call in front of everybody else. They made her cry. They cracked her insecurities so bad and they sold her on the call as a way to show us the practice of the sales call. But it actually turned into a real sale where they booked her on the call for like an even higher package, like a 15,000 package. And I was like, this is so freaking fucked up. But do you want people to cry? Do you want people to feel horrible in your presence? No. And because we are so emotionally, relationally in tune and intelligent, even if you bullshit us once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, but after a while, we will fucking realize and we will feel so bitter. And the trust is completely broken forever. There is no freaking way in my life that I will ever return to this girl. I remember her first name. I don't even remember the name of her business or anything. Like, I just blocked it out. This is so damaging for your business. It wasn't so much the cancel culture back then. I wonder just how people will have reacted if it was something more recent. Like, not that I'm wishing her to be canceled or bullied or anything, but I think people will definitely have called that out online and make a big thing out of it. So we just know. We just feel when it's tactical. Even if we cannot name it, we can feel it in the body. We know when a guy is shady as fuck. We just feel it. Even if everything on paper looks perfect, even if they are explaining by A plus B, like we just know. And so what's the point of using that masculine, I'm gonna make you do something. I'm gonna make you sign. I'm gonna force you, use you, bend you to my will so that I gain something from you. What we can do instead is to use the beautiful qualities of the masculine. Because yes, for sure, the dysregulated masculine is that forceful, control, like power dynamic way. But the healthy version of the masculine energy is what? It's to provide, to protect, to lead, to support. And so it's your job on a sales call to protect the integrity and the dignity of the woman that you're selling to. So if you use that masculine on top of your feminine qualities, the feminine qualities in your sales call is what is going to open the heart of your client wide open. How do you open someone else's hearts? You open yours first. You have to come with your whole heart and your whole truth in the sales call. No lies, no tactics, just pure vulnerability. If you really know in your heart that you can help someone with your services or your products, you should go for it. You open her heart by showing her the transformation that is possible for her, tapping into her ability to envision, to dream, the ability of women to transform. There is also something, women are so amazing. So use their strength to inspire them, empower them into action. Sometimes making a big investment is a hard thing to do. So we'll have to handle some form of objections, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. But I think it's also important to cover the topic of pleasure points versus pain points. I know so many coaches out there, they realize that the way we were doing sales calls and the way we were selling in general, you know, it's not just during the calls, it's the way you use your marketing, like what you say in your videos, how do you invite people? So it's bigger than sales. I mean, bigger than sales calls, it's the whole ecosystem of the world of sales. Some people realized it was unethical, no way to do that. And so they talked about inspiring more and talking into pleasure points and transformation a lot more than pain points. And they're telling you, never use pain points. Usually those same people are using pain points, just in a more subtle way. And I think it's a good thing to use pain points. My personal take on pleasure points versus pain points is that we still should use pain points. Not in the way that is tactical and manipulative, but in the way of like, I freaking feel you. I know what it's like. In a way that is compassion and empathy. I really don't get this new trend. And I mean, I say I don't get it, but I actually get it. Because for the longest time, when I came up with my container business activator, where I coach women into stepping into their CEO power and building their dream businesses and attracting more clients and having consistent money coming in, doing what they absolutely love, and using feminine energy and using pleasure and sensuality to fuel their businesses. This whole idea was based on like, we're just gonna tease into them. We're gonna seduce them into the sales. We're gonna inspire them. We're gonna turn them on, which is still something I believe in, but I was so mad against pain points. And it was all from this story that I just shared with you. It's literally a trauma. So I was like, fuck no, you should never use pain points. And now that I have digested and integrated that experience, and it was a long time ago and I've learned from it, I'm here to tell you, we should definitely use pain points. They're an amazing way to connect with our audience. And it's even better if it's embodied. When I'm on a sales call with someone and I'm like feeling their pain and I know exactly what they're going through because I lived it. I sometimes have teary eye myself when I'm the one leading the sales call because I know her pain and I don't want any of my clients to go through the shit that I went through. And when I know they're experiencing it, it makes me the best person to hire because I've led myself on the other side of it, or I've built a system that helps me with whatever it is that I'm teaching at the moment or sharing at the moment. And that's a way to build trust. And we need trust to lead in a feminine way our sales call, our marketing strategy, and everything in our businesses. So use those pain points a way to connect, to show empathy, to be like, I really freaking know what it's like to feel X, Y, and Z, while still focusing on the transformation, on the good things, on inspiring her and bringing your whole heart to the call. But I feel like bringing your whole heart to the call is also by using pain points. It's just shifting our perspective around it. We don't use it to get something out of her, to show like we are the same. We are not putting ourselves on a pedestal like, I know so much better than you. This is not the goal. The goal is connection. Always. So now you understand it's not just in a sales call. It could be in a sales page. It could be on your content, what you're sharing to sell your offers. Using pain points is not to make them feel bad or to make them feel shitty. And that's a whole freaking mastery. It's something that is not easy to do in marketing, to use it only to show compassion, to use it as a thing of like, I really know what it's like, and it's not even your fault that you feel this way. It's the culture around you. It's what you've been taught. It's your own fucking blocks. I don't know, like to remove that guilt that it's not because they're just a piece of shit and they should give you their bank details. But let's circle back to the sales call, and I want to give you some practical tips to really empower people to sign with you, because we still want to be strategic about the call. We don't want to be just like empathy. You're not a therapist. And you're not either a charity. You need to make money. Your business needs to make money to support yourself and to support the growth of your business. So we do want to be strategic about it while being in integrity. And that's the whole balance and the equilibrium that is, I want to say, hard because it's unusual and it's a fine line. But I have some tips for you. Things like turning I cannot afford into empowerment or stuff like that. But I think we should start with this. Never, ever lie. Don't lie. Because first of all, as we said, they can feel it. But also it will make you feel so bad. So don't create fake scarcity. Don't create fake testimonials. Don't create fake, like anything. Just be real. And in order to be real, this is where you need a strategy. Because for instance, using scarcity, like there is only few spots left, or you only have 48 hours to sign, or I already have 3 spots booked and there is only X amount left. Whatever it is, this is a good strategy, but never lie about it. So if you need to have the structure, create some business policies. I have a policy that if I offer a special offer on a sales call, it's only available for 48 hours. So I'm not lying about it. It's just policy. It's just boundaries. And so because I create those rules that are applicable to everyone, I'm never lying about scarcity. I created those rules in my business because they do work, but it's not to pressure someone. And the 48-hour, for instance, after a sales call is an amazing buffer so they have time to think about it. I created that because they were pressuring me so much to sign on the call. I don't do that. I fucking don't do that. So that's tip number 2. Never sign someone on the call. Let them sit with it. Because on the call, I'm guessing you can have this like energy and you prepared the call really, really well and it's very strategic and you're really good at it. And someone is going to get like super hyped, right? And you don't want them to wait too long so that they have cold feet and they're just like, no, I don't want it anymore. You don't want that either, but you want the sand to be able to come back down to the ground, if you know what I mean. You know this image in the sea, if you're like walking on the floor and you have the sand like in the water and the water is all blurred, you need to let it sit, right? So then they can integrate it and they can make an empowered decision, because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want them to make an empowered decision so they don't regret it and they're happy to be your client. So to sum up, never lie. So in order to never lie, have the boundaries, the structure, whatever it is, so that it's true. If you want to create scarcity because of a number of spots, know your minimum and your maximum. Like, let's say you're enrolling 10 people, but in reality, if you have like 15 signing up, you can still expand your capacity to that. Don't be afraid to be transparent. The part of not lying is also be transparent about how exactly you can help people and don't try to do everything for them. It's so much better to say, well, you know, it's outside of my scope of expertise. I cannot really support you with that, but I can refer you to someone. Also, always come up, this is a random tip, but always come up with a redirection or a solution. I don't know if it's a good tip, but this is something that I personally love to do. If I don't have a solution for someone, I redirect them towards someone that will have a solution for them. And I don't love to be just like, nope, I can't do it. I think, you know, it builds that connection again. So if you know you cannot do something, don't lie about it. If you don't know something, don't lie about it. Just be upfront. The reason why I'm sharing that, and you may think, duh, of course, I'm not that salesy, weird guy that will make things up just to trick people into my offers. But sometimes we feel like we have to lie because we have been taught things like you have to be an authority, you have to be this, you have to be that. Basically, you're supposed to have no flaws and be all perfect, etc., etc. So sometimes we're tempted to lie and we don't really know what is the business policy. And so we always adapt to the one client in front of us and it makes everything kind of shady and weird. And we don't want that. So take a moment, go on your computer, even ask the help with ChatGPT of like, what are the rules that I need to have in my business in order to really hold the container if it feels too intimidating for you. That's why I'm recommending ChatGPT, so that you have almost like a checklist of knowing exactly, okay, this is what I need. And then you decide. You decide how you want to run your business, what are your policies, what exactly is contained in your offer. But I think this whole topic could be used for another podcast episode. So I'm going to come back to never lie, never take a payment on the call. This is one of my rules. Give people time to think, to sit, not a long time. Give them reminders, inviting. Do you remember the feminine way of doing things is being an invitation? So invite them again and again into stepping into that power. Then when it comes to like the money objection of like, I can't afford it, it's too expensive. The way you can handle it, first of all, is to realize you're not here to convince anyone. If they really don't have the money for it, you're not here to force them to make a payment they cannot honor. But most investments are a little scary. And they're a little bit of a stretch. And I don't know for what reason, but especially for women, sometimes investing in themselves is harder than investing in something else. Like investing in their growth and change is scary. So you do want to handle the objection in a way of like reassuring them and giving them the frame and again, the empowerment and the invitation to make that call for themselves, but you don't want to force them. So how do we actually do that? First, put yourself in the posture of like you're not here to force anyone. If they truly cannot afford it, if they truly don't have the money for it, you don't want someone to go into debt because of you. You don't want someone to feel financially irresponsible for making an investment in you, because you're going to receive that energetical exchange too. So you can hold her through her fears and reassure her, and also compassion again. Like, of course it's scary. You probably know what it feels like to invest in yourself and how scary that can be. So hold her through that, through your heart, through your compassion. Like, girl, I get it. 100%. Take time to sit with it. Same if they say that they want to talk to their partner. Like, this is what I did in my call. And they were like, no, why would your partner, blah, blah, blah. Like, they didn't even let me. I think it's so shitty. You need to honor the relational agreement that they have in their lives. Maybe they have an agreement in their marriage that they don't want to make a decision, a financial decision, without talking to the other person. Again, I could go on a whole rabbit hole, but I'm trying to come back full circle, right? So let her rise into her own power. You are not here to convince anyone. You're here to inspire, to invite, to guide, to protect someone's dignity. And I know it's very unpopular, but you totally can and sometimes even should leave money on the table. It's not worth it for you to make a sale just to make a sale and to have someone feeling so terrible about investing in you. And we come back to trust again. You're building trust with them, but you're building trust with yourself and trust in the universe. Trust in God that it will come around. I'm not telling you to just do nothing and pray that people will want to work with you, because that doesn't work either. You need a strategy. But I'm telling you, sometimes it's better to leave money on the table than having someone in survival around you. It's okay for them to be triggered. It's okay for them to reach an edge. It's always a stretch. It's always scary. Your job is to reassure and to protect them, but not to completely fry their nervous system. And also, you want people to be so excited to work with you. So have a solid strategy. Have your email template ready. Have a follow-up strategy, because we still really want to be tactical, practical, and strategic about it, just in a healthy, genuine, loving way. I have 2 more things for you, because we talked about this whole thing, but I want to tell you as well, don't let this, if you had an experience like me, or if you're afraid of making people feel like the way I felt after that sales call, don't let it prevent you from selling your shit and making money. This is what happened to me. I was so traumatized by this experience that I didn't want people to feel this way. And so instead of really stepping into, no, I'm genuine, I know how to do this in an integrous way, I completely stopped. I froze. I let that be an obstacle to sharing my services, because I'm like, oh, I don't want people to think that I'm manipulative. I don't want people to feel that way. But again, this bougie lifestyle is not just gonna fall into my lap without making some sales. And finally, the last thing I have for you is to realize it's deeper than sales, making money, running a business. It's literally changing the culture and changing how the world works. This is the essence of feminine leadership, of feminine styles, of the rise of the feminine qualities in the culture of making money. We're living in a capitalistic culture. And as much as it's a bad thing in many ways, we can make it something not as bad with good practices, with leading in a way that just is so rooted in love and respect and wanting to do something good for the world. This is my profound belief, and more of us are starting to really tap into that. And I really don't think that those salesy, shady practices are going to survive long, especially with the rise of all those new feminine styles. Because once you tasted someone who respects you, someone who honors you, someone who is not chasing and trying to extract something out of you, but someone who respects your choice, that is not putting pressure on you, just boundaries, just like, hey, no, I'm not going to give you a discount because the offer expired, or hey, like, okay, like if you cannot make it now, I'll let you make your own decisions. Once you tasted that, you will never go back to anyone selling you in a shady way. And so it's also your chance to be that loving, compassionate person for your future potential client. And they may not buy now, but they will forever remember how they felt. So if they felt pressured, or they felt like you really needed the money, and so you were like not breathing and in survival, and like, oh my God, energetically they're gonna feel that, and they're probably not gonna come back around. But even if they decide to not work with you right now, they're still a step closer to be a future client, because they've been in your energy. And if you make them feel really, really good and really excited and inspired, they might not buy now, but they will probably buy in the future. And even if they don't, they will always remember how they felt. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that you want people to feel good in your presence, and that's why you do what you do. So let's go be good in sales. Let's go be in integrity. Let's go be strategic yet empathic. I hope this was helpful. If you found value and if you had an aha moment, please share it with me on Instagram. I love to connect with you. I love to discuss the learnings and the teachings of the podcast and to exchange ideas. So I would really love to know if you've been ever sold to in a way that I was. If you have a similar story, please let me know, because I felt so alone and so ashamed. So it will feel good to know that I'm not the only one, but at the same time, I kind of wish that I was the only one to experience that, and that people have a much better experience with being sold to. I'm also curious to know if it changed the way you want to do sales, maybe tweak a few things, maybe inspired a few things in you, maybe just brought the conversation to the forefront so that there is no more shame or taboo or things in the shadow, like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about it. Like, what happens in the sales call is so private. And no, like, can we relax around this topic? Sure. And now that you stayed until the end, I really want to offer something so freaking juicy and special. You have the opportunity to win for free a one-on-one intensive package with me, something my clients paid $2,000 to have access to. You can win that for free just by leaving a review on this podcast, and you will be entered into the giveaway. So all you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot so I know it's you, and send it to me on Instagram. The winner will be announced at the end of the month. During those intensive, we do a whole audit of all of your business and your entrepreneurial journey. So we check your mindset, the frequency and the energy behind you, your offers, how you show up. Do you feel confident in your CEO energy? Do you feel confident in pursuing your dreams? What are the blockages, the imposter syndromes, the fear of being seen? We also check the structure and system that hold your business, like the workflows, automation, back-end organization, financial system, client experience, so that you have the structure and the strategy that actually can hold the level of freedom that you want and you don't end up burnout or exhausted. We also go over your magnetic branding so that you can really develop a signature message that is able to cut through the noise and have that crystal clear brand identity that is so you. And finally, we also check your marketing activation, the storytelling that actually converts, so that you know exactly what to sell, how to position it, and how to communicate in a way that feels just really you and very authentic, natural, and magnetic to your ideal pépite clients. This audit is really in-depth. I make you fill out this whole form beforehand so that we come to the intensive call really prepared, and then you will have a whole blueprint of exactly what to focus on to bring more money into your business, to bring that momentum, to own your brand identity, and to really turn this passion and this genius into something that is both fulfilling and profitable. And that you have clients coming with ease, ready to give you their money with excitement, and they're already so ready and excited to pay you. You will walk with a precise plan and that feminine confidence to step into that business baddie version of you. Effortless, authentic, genuine. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I talk to you next Friday. Mwah!